Okay, so it's 11:11 on 11:11, and it's the 11th hour. A lot of shit has been crazy lately. Um, Everything from the Mandela Effect um, to Trump being elected president, which I was pretty fearful of originally. Um, but I honestly now believe that a lot of the things that he said and a lot of the ways that he acted was pretty much sensationalism and his way to play mass media. Um, and good for him, you know, in some regard. But trust me, this is not how he got elected. So the media is telling us that he was elected by non college whites mostly. And then a lot of, minorities. I mean, why would they even use a derogatory term like that to describe people of other ethnicities? Minorities. It's just a pejorative term. Um, but that's the media for you. So when they're speaking of these non-college whites, and nobody, nobody foresaw Trump winning. Perhaps not even his own team. Now I don't know to what degree they're playing that up or down or whatever, but certainly the Clinton campaign did not foresee Trump being elected, and here's why. The vast, and this is all over the news. They say the polls indicated nothing like this. The polls indicated that Hillary was going to win by a landslide, right? And I'll tell you why. For a couple of reasons. This was well planned out and well organized. And I'll just drop the word right here: military. It was the military. The military know how corrupt the government is. And the military has been sent to fight unfair wars. They've been sent into foreign countries to fuck up innocent civilians for a real long time. I mean, you know, I mean, first major significant example that of modern times is Vietnam. Um, but pretty much every conflict has had a huge amount of people that huge amount of military people that have been rejected, revolted um, against not against the military because I mean it's semper fi. It's you stick by your brotherhood. They would protect each other to the death, and I think that's the most honorable thing about the military. I come from a I don't know how long of a lineage, but I have at least grandparents, great grandparents who were in the military. My biological father wasn't, but that's a different story. Um, but yeah, so I respect the military a great deal, and the military respects each other a great deal. But here's what happened: they realized that all these assholes in the White House and the government and all this shit, they are not doing right by the military. They're sending them on these dummy missions, and that's why you've got all these generals behind Trump because they realize that the bullshit that the media feeds you is crap. And, you know, so a lot of the ideals that Trump is talking about are extremist, with the wall in Mexico, and we're gonna prevent any Muslim from coming into this country. I honestly think that he was not lying, but he was representing the extreme of each ideal, which is true. I mean, it has been said so many times by so many people that if there is such a thing as this terrorism, it's our borders that need to be protected. It's our ports. It's things like that. Um, and it doesn't mean you got to go and invade Afghanistan and Iraq and go after weapons of mass destruction that were never fucking there in the first place. They knew it. They knew it. They knew it. And this has been proven many times over. And if you're not aware of that, just look it up. I would bring up 9/11, but I'll go off on a tangent about that too. At the very least, it should have been prevented through coordination. And so, all these non-college whites that voted for Trump are military. And it's because they know. It's because they have the inside scoop. They realize what the government is doing. And a lot of the things that Trump said when he was running for president made me scared a lot. Like, oh man, we can't have this guy. I mean, as soon as I realized that those were the two electorates for president, and one of those two people were going to be president, I kept saying, "It's the end of the world as you know it." Um, but as I did a little more research into what Trump is actually like as a person and as an individual, as opposed to how he plays himself up, for reality TV and in these interviews and all. Um, I honestly think that he played himself up that way, not just to appeal to maybe people who would have those extreme opinions, but I honestly believe that that's the reason that he was the GOP representative. That's the reason he was a Republican candidate, because they thought he had no chance of winning. And they're like, man, this guy's just gonna hang himself. We don't even have to worry about it. Clinton, who's in our pockets, she's gonna win. Shit's gonna go on as usual. But that wasn't the case, and I'm telling you that all the non-college whites are the military. And that's why the poll numbers were so incredibly wrong, because it was all planned out. They weren't going to say, "Yeah, we're voting for Trump," because they could have planned around that. They could have, stuffed the votes or whatever. But I'm actually even surprised that he won in Florida too. I mean, it was almost like it was just overwhelming. And here's where it kind of ties into the Mandela effect. Because with the Mandela effect, you must realize this. You could wake up into a different reality tomorrow, right? Is that not the one thing that the Mandela effect has taught you? You can wake up into a different reality tomorrow. And we all do. We all actually, as many of my spiritual teachers, such as Bentina Massaro, will tell you. And this is something I've also felt on my own for decades. I mean, since before I was 20, and I'm more than double that now. So it's been a long time that I've felt that, and it's been great to um, see other people have the same opinion, especially those who are well respected spiritual teachers. So, oh man, I'm making the same mistake I did on my first video, so I apologize. This whole thing should have been shot sideways. Um, Maybe I'll just make this an audio clip and put a video over it. No, I don't have time to do that. I'm just gonna press stop and upload this, and hopefully I'll have more time in the future to make better uh, videos, at least better edited videos. But I hope that the message is the most important thing here. I forgot that this whole vertical thing does not work on YouTube at all, so I apologize. But yeah, so don't worry about the fact that Trump is president. Realize that every day you can wake up into a different reality. And that is the whole point of the Mandela Effect. It's not to freak you out or make you feel like you lost something. It is quantum physics coming into play. I mean, most of you, I don't know. That's just, I can't say most of you, but I would say those I would have to think that the majority of you YouTubers who have either delved into the Mandela Effect pretty deep, um, or the whole CERN um, conspiracy, etc. Um, kind of realize that this is quantum physics on a macro level. It's what Einstein scared at. Scared at. It's what Einstein described as spooky action at a distance, and he was talking about quantum entanglement when two particles become quantum entangled, and then no matter how far apart you separate them, if you affect one, the other is affected. In fact, you can take this one a light year away from that one. A light year, right? A light year away. You affect this one, that one's immediately affected. Well, it should take a year for light to travel from this one to that one. But yet, these two things are instantaneously connected. In fact, sometimes when you go to affect this particle that's in quantum entangled with that particle reacts to the effect that you're putting on this particle a split second before you even put the effect on this particle. How does that work? Well, I don't have the exact answer for you, but I can tell you that this world is made up of a whole lot of energies that we don't understand, comprehend on any significant level. And we try to slice it and dice it with our machines and with CERN, and you're just bastardizing nature. That's not how to figure it out. The way to figure it out is the way that Ralph Ring figured things out. When he figured out levitation and things like that, he figured it out by being close to nature. So, yeah. Just to, I'll wrap up this video because it's gone on long enough, but just to touch a little bit more on the whole Trump thing, I do believe that he, number one, this is undeniable. Um, this isn't a guess or a projection or an opinion. This is fact that his, acceptance speech, whatever, when he became the president-elect, it was humble. It was humble, and it is exactly what you would expect from a president. Exactly the temperament that you'd want from a president. And so I think it's incredibly important that no matter what opinion you've had of him before, and here's again how this ties into the Mandela Effect, you can wake up into a different reality tomorrow. So no matter if Trump was the biggest asshole in the world yesterday, tomorrow we can wake up and he can be a different man, he can be a different person. This reality really is just, well, it's just the sum parts of what we all believe together. And it is subject to a certain amount of chaos on different levels, and there's different reasons for that, whether it's the subconsciousness of us who, of you and me who are consciously projecting, or the scrambled thoughts of those who are completely unaware that they're projecting, or it's the residue of the Mandela effect, whether it's, this leftover kind of negativity that can sometimes linger a little bit after an idea or concept has been squelched. Sometimes energy hangs on a little bit. And whether that's through our minds or whether that's just kind of a physical process that takes, it is, it can be as little as an hour or a couple of days. I mean, of course, if it's a product of your mind, it could last forever. But in my experience, um, even after you've dropped a subject in your mind, you've let it go, forgiven it. Sometimes it feels like the energy just lingers on, and that's maybe something you can cure with sea salt because the energy is in your physicality. Um, there's so many aspects of this, um, and so I don't want to ramble on any longer. But what I'm saying is that if you are a spiritualist at heart, you understand that every day can be a new beginning. And what was that movie? Oh man, it was about the men in black that would go and change things in the past and stuff. And of course, there's all these different things about black op projects, and look, you can worry about the fact that it sure looks like Jackie blew JFK's head off now in the video, which is completely different than the way I remembered. I remember the bullet coming like this, and the piece of his skull kind of going off the back of the car and her scrambling up after it. And now it totally, I mean, number one, there's 6 people in the car instead of 4. It totally looks like she takes the gun and shoots him from underneath, and the spray comes straight up out of the top of his head. It looks completely different. And, you know, a lot of things with Mandela Effect, just to name one off the top of my head, the ET phone home thing. I remember ET saying ET home phone. I was like 8 years old. I don't know. I was a very young kid. Went to go see it in the movie theater. And I just remember him saying it backwards, which was made sense because he's an alien. Now, there's a lot of other things, that are completely different, like Mirror Mirror on the Wall and, dare I say, Chick-fil-A. um, I had a receipt along for a long time with a girl's number on it from the Chick-fil-A uh, store, and I'm telling you, it was CHIC. Um, whatever. But don't worry about that. The fact that things have changed is awesome. It means that it can change from day to day. And this crap that this asshole's saying on 4chan about being one of the guys who's behind this crap, man, that is part of the psyops. That is what it is. They've realized that this shit is changing, and regardless of whether they've had any sort of hand in it or not, they know that this reality is constructed by our collective consciousness. And that's how they manipulate it. It ain't through CERN. They're doing some weird shit over there, I'll grant you. And they might be trying their best to do some crazy crap. And if they are doing crazy crap, the crazy crap they're doing is affecting your mind first and foremost, because that is the ultimate law. That is the ultimate law of this reality. So, if there's all these evil aliens and crap like that wanted us dead and this stuff, it can't be done. How far should I go with this? I will just say this. This reality is the result of our collective consciousness. So if you believe, you allow them to convince you that CERN is manipulating things and they can transmogrify the biomechanics, the construct of even your brain, well, you're kind of fucked. Unless you snap out of it right now. Because when you believe that others have power over you, that's when they do. So I'll try to leave it at that. The most important thing to remember is that your mind is liquid plastic. I'll play that song that I wrote sometime, hopefully in the near future. But yeah, your mind And that's actually the scientific term for it. Your mind being plastic, your mind being malleable. They used to think that your mind and your thoughts and your brain waves and patterns were formed when you were young, and that was it. You were then thus the result of whatever squiggles those noodles made inside your head when you were a kid. And now they have proven beyond any shadow of a doubt that that isn't the case, that your mind can change at any age. It might get harder as you're older, but only because you're more set in your ways. If you have a change of heart, if you have a epiphany, you could have that epiphany at age 70, and probably 2 years later, your mind could be completely rewired. And I do mean rewired. I mean, it completely rewires the patterns upon which those electrons fire. And negativity can turn into positivity, and fear can turn into love, and vice versa. I mean, you could, I you could go the opposite direction, but once you reach a certain point, once you have that experience of knowing that you'll be okay no matter what, you might have some bad days. You might be put in situations where you just want to give up on life, but you don't ever feel like your soul is at risk. So it's kind of hard hard to go backwards once you reach a certain point um, of enlightenment. And there's a specific term for this in Buddhism. It's you kind of go up a spiral path, and it's basically a point of no return. And I know that there's a very specific term for it, but I can't remember that right now. Um, I almost remember the book that talked about that, but not quite. Anyway, um, peace, love, and light. And hey, no matter how you feel about the way this guy represented himself in the past, try to put a different projection on it now, because you can wake up in a different reality than I will. We could all wake up in different realities. We can, not that half the people will be missing, because there's always, infinite different versions of ourselves. Or, I sometimes think that there's even, fillers, um, people that don't quite have a fully thinking, fully almost like there's not really a soul there. Almost like it's just a person, or an empty being that is just reacts in certain ways that it has been entrained to react. And, maybe maybe that being was, created this way or that, or maybe the actual soul has transcended beyond that, and what we're left dealing with is the jerky part of them, and the good part is already out of here. you know um But yeah, so please be aware that your consciousness and what you think very much does affect what actually happens in this world. And so it won't necessarily change my reality completely, but it very well will change yours. So realize that if you expect everything to be doom and gloom and bullshit with Trump being president, that's the reality that you're going to experience. But if you give him a chance and expect that things could go okay, they will. All right. Again, peace, love, and light. Namaste.